Reincarnated Kiss. The kiss between Lily and Adrian was born in the time of the Egyptian pharaohs. Although they were not known by these names at the time, for simplicity, we will refer to them this way throughout the story. During this time, the Egyptian empire was at its peak. The pharaoh ruled over a relatively stable kingdom with the administrative and material support of his nobles. While the lower classes, including slaves, endured harsh conditions, the society remained deeply hierarchical. As could not be otherwise in a complicated and intertwined story, the souls of Adrian and Lily had been born at opposite poles of that unfair civilization. Their paths crossed only once in their lives on a market afternoon. Amidst the noise of vendors offering their products loudly, customers bustled around, purchasing all they needed from the set-up stalls. Among the shouting voices, crowded bodies, and under the sun that blurred the contours, this story began. On that occasion, Adrian, a boy with brown skin and a shaved head who wore a light, high-quality cotton tunic and sandals that protected his feet from the scorching ground, walked with his father. The man was a tough military commander, a career that 4-year-old Adrian was meant to pursue when he grew up. Lily came from the opposite side of the human stream, the daughter of enslaved people who wore only rags, walked barefoot, and had a handkerchief over her hair. When her big yellow eyes met Adrian's, the little girl felt an irrational emotion rush through her entire body. The kiss emerged from that exchange of glances which, like all great things in life, began as merely an idea. The chances that they would even speak were remote, but that did not stop Adrian from creating an image of himself filling Lily's face with kisses, pure and innocent like the ones his mother gave him. Of course, that day the two children did not kiss. In that life they never saw each other again. Their lives continued separately, with one infinitely different from the other, until they came to an end. Even so, there was a link that connected those souls, a bond that refused to be broken, and a kiss that did not give up and was willing to travel through time and space to materialize. Lily's soul returned to Earth when European settlers began populating Latin America. Her father was a visionary, a man of the world who had decided to try his luck on the new continent. Once he was well established, he sent for his wife and 3 beautiful daughters. Lily was the youngest of the sisters and was 12 years old at the time. She was a pale girl with light blonde hair and enormous blue eyes. The day she saw Adrian, she was riding with her 2 sisters in a carriage, along a path that bordered the forest. The girl, who was looking curiously out the window, discovered a slim, dark figure slipping through the vegetation, barely dressed in a piece of cloth tied to his hip. Adrian, a young native boy not much older than Lily, watched the girl as he ran alongside the carriage, always under the cover of the column of trees. Adrian's smile was so contagious that Lily couldn't help but smile too, and his charm, surrounded by the strength and power of the purest, wildest nature, had a magnetism that caused Lily to fall in love with him. Carried away by the emotion that overwhelmed her in that moment, the girl blew Adrian a kiss with her hand, who pretended that she had shot him in the chest with an arrow, and he fell to the ground, exhausted. Looking inside the carriage, Lily discovered that her sisters were looking at her with serious, reproachful expressions. Even so, the girl could not suppress the laughter that bubbled up from her chest. Lily could not explain what had led her to greet the stranger in that way. It was an impulse, something she did without thinking. Unbeknownst to her, it was the kiss she was unconsciously resisting. He wanted to exist in the world all at once. That blown kiss wasn't enough for him. He knew he had the potential for so much more. His greatest wish was to transform into that ridiculously passionate kiss he knew he could be. In their next life, Adrian and Lily found themselves on totally opposed sides. At the height of the French Revolution, he was a pretentious nobleman who went nowhere without his white wig and feathered hat, even though he was only 20 years old. She was a young woman of a similar age with great ideals, who believed that there shouldn't be so many differences in opportunity between nobles like Adrian and the common people. Lily had actively joined the revolution, and when the time came, it was her turn to be in direct contact with those whom the revolutionaries had imprisoned. That's how the girl met Adrian. The young boy was soon to be executed when it was Lily's turn to stand guard over him. The moment they saw each other, she understood that she could not allow that man to be killed. It was not clear to her whether it was because her soul recognized his or because she thought that no matter how just the cause was, It was not worth exerting so much violence. When Lily accompanied Adrian through a dark tunnel to help him escape, the kiss fluttered on the boy's chest. He knew it wasn't the time for a grand display of affection, but he felt this was the best opportunity yet, and he didn't want to let it pass. So seconds before he would never see Lily again, Adrian lovingly took her hand and placed a tender kiss on it. Moments later, he disappeared into the darkness of the night. It was not until the end of the First World War that these two beings crossed paths again. This time, there was a unique situation that had never occurred in the history of these souls. For the first time since the idea of that kiss had first taken shape in Adrian's mind, they were both on the same side in the conflict. The Great War had just ended, leaving behind a trail of death and pain. But it was over, and with the promise that it would never happen again, all the inhabitants of the victorious nations took to the streets to celebrate. Lily was waiting for her husband along with her 3 children, and when they announced the end of the war, she left home accompanied by her neighbors. She chose to go to a large square full of people, the same place where Adrian was. Amid uncorked bottles, greetings and hugs among strangers, the kiss that had waited for so long felt this was a clear opportunity. Near a fountain in the square, Adrian, who was still wearing his military uniform, made a toast with his colleagues. Close by, Lily was adorned in a beautiful green jacket she had saved for this day, with her shiny auburn hair tied up in an elaborate bun. She joined the celebration with other women and children. When one of the younger girls saw the soldiers, she thought that the fairest thing to do was to go and thank them for their work during the war. Laughing, the women approached the men to greet them, who were moved by their warm words. That was how Lily suddenly found herself in front of Adrian. Once again, the kiss worked its magic and caused Lily to impulsively lean toward the man's face and leave a mark with her crimson lips on his cheek.
And that was the last time those two souls crossed paths,
Adrian said, leaning forward to look intensely at Lily.
Until 3 months ago, when I met you playing bingo.
Lily looked at Adrian through her glasses and gave him a crooked smile. Her needles and wool were still on her lap, but she hadn't made a single stitch since Adrian started telling that story. They were both in the garden of a house, sitting next to each other in patio chairs, enjoying delicious lemonade and the good weather.
"Did you make up this whole story just to steal a kiss from me?"
asked Lily. She felt Adrian's presence very close to her, which she welcomed, because that was what she had wanted since the day she had met that gentleman. He was remarkably youthful for his age.
It could be. Maybe it's just that I want to kiss this beautiful woman.
Adrian said gallantly, caressing Lily's hair.
Or maybe I really feel sorry for that desperate kiss, which had to cross great distances over time to finally get the passionate ending it deserves.
Without waiting any longer, it was Lily who brought her lips closer to Adrian's. The kiss was electrifying. After so many years of waiting, it was finally happening. At that moment, he thought that all the waiting had really been worth it. Adrian and Lily were at a time in their lives when many might believe passion had no place, but he was there to show how wrong they were. The absolute proof of this was in the eyes of anyone who could see how at that moment both souls kissed with a feeling they had never felt in their lives.